Alright, so Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 has now been revealed, and now I want to show you a clip of Modern Warfare 4 gameplay showing off the movement mechanics in the game. So let's check this out. Alright, so as you just saw right there, while playing the game, you'll be able to make your character put their legs in front of them while lying down. And your character can also climb up drainage pipes to get to a higher level. And it also showed this sort of slide animation where the character slides into lying down on their back with their legs in front of them. So yeah, the movement mechanics have definitely been changed from the recent Modern Warfare 3. Explained in this post from Charlie Intel that says, a look at the kill block map in development in Modern Warfare 4. It's the size of shoot house. 3 slabs, all of which change during a multiplayer match. Infinity Ward says they have 900 combos but will ship with 500 for tech reasons. So now let's take a look at the video in this post.
With these slabs and with the combination system that we have, that is 100. We have the content to do upwards of 900. Tech-wise, we're trying to get to 500. Yeah.
Alright, so yeah, this is a pretty interesting new feature that they're trying to add. So, it would be pretty interesting to see what it ends up being once the game finally comes out. And another thing I want to share with you guys is something explained in this post from Infinity Ward that says, create a class has evolved to maximize customization. For the first time in Modern Warfare, select an operator and a unique killstreak set for each loadout. Build loadouts for every playstyle, game mode, and more. Here's a work in progress preview. Alright, so this is really cool, I would say, because you can now have different kill streaks associated with different loadouts. So you can have a kill streak set that's more based off of intel gathering and information disruption, stuff like that, by getting a UAV and a counter UAV and stuff like that. Then you can also have a different kill streak that's perhaps more aggressive, more about dealing damage to the enemy and stuff like that. You can have easier to get kill streaks, you can have harder to get kill streaks, you can have kill streaks somewhere in the middle, and you can have different loadouts based off of how well you think you would do with certain guns perhaps, or different play styles and stuff like that. And also you will be able to pick different operators for different loadouts. So if you think that a certain operator seems more in line with the theme of close quarters combat, then you can pick one like that. And if you think an operator looks more like a sniper, then for a sniper loadout, you can pick that operator. So it's gonna match the theme. So it's gonna be pretty interesting, and I'm glad to see this, and I hope that future COD games would implement this, because I really like this feature. Modern Warfare 4 is going to be set on the Korean peninsula, right? North Korea and South Korea. And so if we get into specific parts of the trailer, in the beginning, we can see that the US forces and the South Korean forces are walking through the streets of South Korea, and they even go to this convenience store to get some snacks. And so it's pretty interesting, I would say. And, then the attack from North Korea happens as they're doing this, right? And so just really crazy stuff. And then it shows paratroopers, which I think are North Korean paratroopers that are now, dropping into South Korea to fight. And so, yeah, really crazy. The scale of the combat is definitely really large, and so that's really nice. It would be really interesting to actually play through the campaign, playing through these events as they're happening. And then we also see Captain Price, who's basically on the run now because he's an outlaw because of what he did to General Shepard in the last Modern Warfare game. And so the storyline is now carrying forward. And you also see him with Valeria, who's a character in this new Modern Warfare trilogy. And so we can see that she's returning now, and they're in France. So there's something going on there. And also we get to see a lot of combat in the trailer. So that's pretty nice. It's pretty interesting to see all that kind of stuff. This is stuff we're gonna see in the campaign and all that kind of stuff. And the scale is definitely pretty large. There's vehicles involved and stuff like that. And then it shows a scene where it's snowing and you have soldiers fighting, and they actually go into the trenches and they fight inside the trenches. So that's like really cool. It reminds me of like the sort of old school style of warfare. And so it's pretty interesting to see that in a what seems to be either modern setting or near future setting. And inside the trenches, the way the soldiers were fighting hand to hand, that was really interesting. It's pretty cool to see that in a modern or near future setting. And seeing it in Korea of all places, that's something very unique. You usually see this style of combat in games set in Europe, right? With World War I and World War II. And another thing that stood out to me was that there's this dialogue within the trailer.
We are not ready. We could all die tonight. We don't even get a choice.
Where you have one character saying, "You're not ready," and then another one says, "We could all die tonight and we don't even get a choice." So, that whole thing where it's like, we could all die tonight, I think that right there sort of shows that the stakes of the campaign are going to be very high, right? The stakes are going to be very high in this campaign. And it goes to show just how insane the combat is going to be. This is going to be high intensity combat. This won't just be some kind of low intensity border skirmish between North and South Korea, but rather this is a full scale conflict. And in the end, you can see that Captain Price is apparently going up against Ghost, and Ghost is saying that you broke a lot of rules, Price, referring to what he did with General Shepard. And then Price says no more rules. So it's gonna be pretty interesting to see what happens. This is a pretty interesting sort of, you could say, kind of like a side plot, because the way that I see it, the main plot is the Korean Peninsula plot. So this is gonna be pretty interesting. Now real quick, I just want to say that I'm giving out shoutouts on this channel to people who subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment letting me know that they subscribed. If you do that, then in the next video I'll give you a shoutout. As for one of the previous videos, I want to give out a shoutout to this person, Void Light YT. Thank you so much for the subscribe, I really appreciate it. Now anyway, back to the video. And so yeah guys, those were my thoughts on the situation, and now I'm interested in hearing what you have to say down in the comments below. So leave a comment letting me know what you think, and we can have a discussion down there. And with all that being said guys, this is Alexi signing out.